Hey, you guys. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here, you guys. Listen, yesterday I saw Teen Mom fan pages posting screenshots of an article from Us Weekly. And this article from Us Weekly said that they obtained the 911 call made by Barbara Evans, Janelle Evans' mom, Jace's grandmother, and that Barb said that Jace put a pew pew to his head. And I was like, what is actually going on here? Because I've talked to a couple people behind the scenes. I've been reading all the articles. I've been trying to break down everything. And a big thing for me is I want to bring you guys, hold on one second. My mom's going to be here in just a minute. Okay, I thought you were her. Thank you. She's got to drop something off in my office. It's fine. Sorry, guys. Okay, so obviously I want to give you guys I want to give you guys accurate information. I do not want to get on here. If I'm given information that paints a narrative it's obviously going to affect my opinion. If I'm being told, there was no GUN. Janelle sold the story to TMZ and she lied. And Janelle is the one having Jace put in the hospital. Was obviously that's going to make me feel a type of way with Janelle. And let me just say this. There is enough that Janelle Evans, that she really does, that we can all dislike her and we can all blame her. But I'm like, it seems like from now what's coming out, and I'm going to go over everything so you guys can get a better idea. But from what I'm gathering, Janelle's sister Ashley says, that Barbara didn't call 911, but that she did make a call to try to get Jace help because Jace had been struggling really bad leading up to that day. And that day he lost it, which I can listen. I agree with that. If Jace is struggling at Barbara's to the point where he's, damaging her house, he's making threats against himself, then I agree that Barbara needs to call someone. She needs to try to get help. And maybe he needs to be in a hospital. I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psych doctor. I don't know. But when this first came out, it was TMZ's putting out the articles, that Jace is in a mental hospital, that Jace pulled a pew pew out and put it to his head and threatened to harm him and his grandmother. And then it was other outlets saying that's not true. It was Janelle's sister Ashley saying that's not true. And other outlets were like, yeah, no, that's not true. That's not what happened. And then I'm talking to people behind the scenes saying, yeah, Jace never threatened to harm Barbara. He never put a pew pew to Barbara's head. There was no pew pew. And this is also what I'm seeing, per Janelle's sister Ashley. So I'm believing it, okay? I'm like, okay, there was no pew pew. He never threatened to harm Barbara. This is Janelle selling stories to TMZ to make Jace appear worse than he is, so nobody will be mad over the fact that she put him in a daggum hospital, right? Well, now, you guys, it's coming out. I mean, I don't know what the hell to believe, honestly. I do think, honestly, I think one thing that I came to the realization of yesterday is that Barbara, as well as Ashley, maybe, they want to cover for Jace. Maybe Jace did do some things that they don't want the media to know, that they don't want the media to look at Jace a certain way. So maybe they're like, oh, no. She didn't say that. She didn't say that. And I can kind of understand that too. I can understand that. But here's the thing. If that happened, if these things happen, and you're just trying to protect your grandson because you don't want people to eat him up, like I get that. But you can't also say Janelle did this to ruin it, to ruin his reputation. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? Because I'm like, we can blame Janelle for where she should be blamed. But anybody saying like Janelle lied if she really didn't lie, I don't know. I don't like that. Like, I'm trying to bring you guys accurate information as much as I possibly can. And if we have one outlet saying, oh, I have the 911 call, this is what's said, and they leave out a big chunk, and then another outlet comes to say, oh, no, I had the 911 call and all this was said, and they include something that wasn't included in the other one, well, then you're asking what the hell is happening. You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, well, hold up. Why did this outlet not mention this, but this outlet did say this happened. So what is going on? And that's basically kind of what's happening here. If Jace did have a G, where did he get it from? So this is what I think is happening. Okay. From what I can gather, Jace was having a hard time, like the last week or so, seeing everything on the internet. He was seeing that his mom was back with Janelle. He was seeing the stories that she was posting. He was having a hard time. On that particular day, he lost it. He was breaking stuff in Barbara's house. Barbara called someone, whether she called the number 911 or maybe she called to the clerk of court's office and said, "Can you send somebody?" I do think Barbara understands up at this point that a 911 call, media outlets are going to find it. They're going to portray. So maybe she didn't call 911, but maybe she called the sheriff's department, like a non-emergency number. That's what I'm wondering now, if she called a non-emergency number, but these outlets were still able to get the transcript. So here's what I think happened is when Jace flipped out, Barbara called someone asking for help. Now we know, per Us Weekly and the Ashley basically saying, yeah, no, I didn't put it in my article because I didn't want to put everything. I was trying to give them a little bit of privacy, but yeah, whatever. Okay. Now we know that Barbara did say that he put a GUN to his head, but per Janelle's sister, Barbara was not wearing her glasses. She knew that he was making threats against himself, that he was damaging her house. So when she saw him pick something up, she thought it was a GUN because she didn't have her glasses on. Okay. The cops came. Ashley said, my mom's house, they don't have GUNs. They don't have them. So if Jace would have had one, they wouldn't know where it came from. But Barbara, I guess, is standing, far enough away from him that she couldn't see clearly. And everything going on, he's threatening to unalive himself, and he picks something up, and she, I guess, assumes that it was a GUN. So she tells the cops that. I'm going to try to go over everything because this all happened on March 9th is when the news broke. So it went down with Jace at Barbara's house on February 22nd. Now, February 12th is when Janelle posted pictures of David and Inslee in the hospital. So February 12th, Janelle's posting the pictures of David and Inslee. Jace sees it, I'm sure, as he can see his mom's stuff. In the weeks following that, they're posting the pictures where you can hear David in her video. You can see David in the reflection of her sunglasses. You can see her in the reflection of David's sunglasses. She was posting a lot of stuff where it was very obvious that they were together. So from the way that it seems now, once Jay started seeing this stuff, Jay started struggling. Jay started, having fits, I guess you could say, losing his temper. Barb was trying to handle it the best that she could. And then on the 22nd, it all came to blows. It all came to a head to where he literally flipped out. Okay. So first we have TMZ posting the article that he's in a mental hospital, that he pulled a pew-pew, that he pointed it at himself, that he threatened to take his life and Barb's life. And then you have the Ashley Realities Roundup that comes out saying, whoa, that's not exactly what happened. And then the Ashley, so here's where things really got kind of crazy for me is because I believed it, because Janelle's sister, as well as somebody that I was talking to in the background saying, no, Jace didn't threaten Barb. There was no GUN. None of that happened. So then the Ashley Realities Roundup comes out with the call. I want to read her article really quickly. This is the Ashley's Reality Roundup. Okay. If it is not linked, I will link it in my description box, but I feel like I have to go back to this because this is what gave more information for us as far as the 911 call. Okay. All this information is coming out. Oh, he said, she said, Janelle's selling this, Janelle's telling lies, Janelle's sister saying this isn't true. So then this is where we have the first, okay, well, this is solid information, right? Because the 911 call. So the Ashley's Reality Roundup on March 11th put out this article. Exclusive 911 call reveals more details about incident with Jace at Barbara Evans' house. Janelle Evans says ex-David Easton is supporting her through the situation. Let me zoom in. All right, so it says this outlet obtained the 911 call or audio of the call that Barbara had made to the police on February 22nd, asking for help after her grandson Jace erupted in anger after finding out that Janelle was back with her ex-husband David Eason. According to the 911 call audio, which the Ashley says she's not going to post, Barbara was the one who called the police. And I will say, before this came out, there was also like, we were unsure who called the police because TMZ never said Barbara called. TMZ said Jace found out. Jace went to Barbara. Barbara called Janelle. Then a call was made to 911. So it almost like alluded, like for me, it seemed to allude that maybe Janelle made the call. Okay. But then we have this article that basically confirms that it was Barbara, right? So it says Barbara was the one who called the police, asking them to come talk to her immediately. It says Jace was being destructive at her house. And per the audio, Barbara tells the 911 operator, my grandson is on probation and he is destroying my house. Barbara then mentions that Jace threatened to pew-pew himself. However, the Ashley reported no pew-pew was found on Barbara's property when the police came out and searched. So here, there's no mention that he, it doesn't say here. Barb then mentions that Jace threatened to pew-pew himself and put a pew-pew to his head, right? It's not said. It just says that he threatened that and that the cops got there was no pew-pew found. On Tuesday, Janelle's sister Ashley denied that Jace threatened Barbara, as TMZ reported. The command log notes, also obtained by the Ashley, do not make any mention of Jace threatening Barbara with a pew-pew, just an FYI. Barbara asked, I want the officers to come out and talk to me, before requesting that the officers stay outside to avoid making the situation worse. Maybe she did. Maybe she called a crisis line. I'm not sure. I mean, can you get the audio of a crisis line? I don't know. It says the command log notes state that the officers do not need to use caution, which indicates that they did not believe Jace had a pew-pew. The Ashley can reveal that officers were only on the scene for about 15 minutes before Jace was taken to the hospital and then a mental health facility where he remains as of press time. On Wednesday, someone who is being paid a pretty penny for each story sold about Jace sold another story to TMZ stating that Janelle is planning to visit Jace in the hospital over spring break. I'm not going to read all this. Okay, so just this up here alone, which kind of goes over the 911 call and the transcript, like there was nothing in there that led me, she never said, it never said that Barb mentioned that she thought Jace was putting a pew-pew to his head. I mean, it even says things that would make me think the opposite, because that was being said. TMZ reported that it was being said, like, oh, he put a pew-pew to his head and threatened himself and threatened to harm Barb. So this made me think, okay, that's clearly not true, because it says there's no mention of it happening in here. And then it says no pew-pew was found. It also says the command logs, it says do not need to, they do not make any mention of Jace threatening Barb with a gun. It also says, I want the officers to come out and talk to me. The command log states that the officers do not need to use caution, which indicates that they did not believe Jace had a gun. And I can understand like what the Ashley is saying here. Like, okay, the command logs says Barbara obviously told them, no, you don't have to use caution or whatever, or somebody told them that, or they didn't feel the need to use caution, so they didn't believe it. But it did state that apparently in the 911 call. In the 911 call, apparently, Barbara said she thought he was putting a pew-pew to his head, right? So, but when I read this article, I thought, okay, well, that clears it up. He threatened himself. There was no pew-pew. He never pulled a pew-pew. Then we have Us Weekly. Okay, let's go over it. So I'm thinking, between everything that I'm reading and who I'm talking to, okay, like I know the gist of it. And then this comes out yesterday and throws me for a whole loop. Janelle Evans' mom, Barbara, claims grandson Jace held a pew pew to his head and threatened to hurt her in chilling 911 call. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, what do you mean? Chilling new details have emerged about a shocking incident with which Janelle Evans' mother, Barbara Evans, called 911 on her 16-year-old grandson, Jace Evans, leading to him being sent to a mental health treatment facility. Barbara called North Carolina authorities on February 22nd, informing them of a troubled teen disturbance. The matriarch can be heard telling officers she needs someone to come talk to her immediately, according to audio obtained by a news outlet. I couldn't find the exact Us Weekly. Every time I clicked on it, it kept bringing me to this MSN thing. Okay. My grandson is on probation. He is destroying my house. He had a pew pew to his head, and I'm up here, the MTV alum said on the call. He's screaming at me. He's trying to hurt me. Wait a minute now. So Us Weekly is reporting this per the 911 call. Barbara rushed officers to come out and talk to her, worried that her grandson was going to destroy the rest of her house. I'm like, wait a minute. So last night I did find the Us Weekly one. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Hopefully. Now it keeps bringing me to this stupid MSN thing. Is this it? No, it's the same. Okay. Why is it not bringing me to Us Weekly? New details are emerging about an alleged incident involving Janelle Evans' son, 16-year-old Jace, and her mom, Barbara. In 911 audio obtained by Us Weekly from the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office, Barbara can be heard saying she needs someone to come talk to her immediately. My grandson is on probation. He is destroying my house. He had a pew pew to his head, and I'm up here, Barbara said on the call before becoming emotional. He's screaming at me. He's trying to hurt me. Barbara then said through tears that she wanted officers to come out and talk to me because he will destroy the rest of my house. So this is what Us Weekly is saying came from the 911 call. So I'm getting like, okay, I'm like, what is happening here? So the audio has not came out. The Ashley's Reality Roundup and Us Weekly are the two outlets that heard it and posted about it. But the Ashley, like when I read the Ashley's article, it made me think one way. Like, okay, I can understand Jace. Like, he just found out his mom is back with David. Like, he's freaking out. Like, he's upset. Like, I can even understand him in an emotional, like, just in a state of like emotional shock, maybe even like him threatening himself. Okay. Also, keep in mind, Jace does have mental health, like he's ODD, he's ADHD. Like, so I'm like, I could understand that. Like, I could understand finding out that your mom betrayed you again and got back with your abuser, making a threat like that. Like the Ashley's Reality Roundup, I'm like, that makes sense. Like, okay, like, yeah, I would have called too if I was Barbara. But then when I read Us Weeklies, I'm like, wait a minute, this is way more serious. If Barbara's like, he's threatening to hurt me, he put a pew pew to his head, I'm like, what is going on? So Teen Mom fans over on Facebook posted what Us Weekly was saying, and I commented and I was like, thank you, Mama. I'll call you in a little bit. I'm like, this is so different. I'm like, wait a minute, this is different. Like, what? Like, why is it so different, right? Like, why are we hearing something different from Us Weekly? So then, the outlet from the Ashley, she made a post. Let me find it, explaining why she did not go into more detail. Let's see. So this is what the lady behind the Ashley Realities Roundup said. For those who have asked why my story about the Barbara Evans 911 call seems to differ slightly from Us Weekly's version. We both listened to the same call, but I chose to paraphrase what Barbara said regarding Jace's threats to himself. But I'm like, I get that. Like, let me continue. Okay. I didn't think the exact words needed blasted out there. And I get, but there were things like straight up left out though that changed things for me. Like as the reader, as someone that covers this, like what the Ashley put out makes like I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like I would have still called if I was Barbara. But like it ain't like he's threatening to hurt her. It's not like he actually had a pew pew and put it to his head. That's a lot different. But now we find out that those things were allegedly said in the 911 call. So I'm like, wait, that so I'm like, when it changes the whole, I don't know. To me, I'm like, I absolutely understand trying to protect him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand trying to protect him. I get it. But if we're going to talk about this and we're going to put news out, I feel like we do have to put the whole story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we have to put the whole story out because putting a little bit out, for me, it changes things drastically. Like when I read what Us Weekly said, I was like, wait, this is different. And I'm not trying to like I get what the Ashley's trying to do. Like this is a child. This is Jace. Like she also wants to protect him a little bit and don't want to make things worse for him. Like I get that. Um, so I understand like to an extent like what she was trying to do here, like being in a position of like I need to cover this because it's what I do, but I also want to give Jace some privacy. And if I put out everything, it may change the way people see him. Like I can kind of understand that. But I'm also like, if we are going to talk about it, I think if we're going to cover this kind of stuff, if we leave out some of the more important stuff like that, then people don't have the whole story. So, anyways, she said, I didn't think the exact words needed blasted out there, but no GUN was found. Why Barbara said he had one, I don't know. Perhaps to get cops there faster. She was emotional. But had there been a GUN, cops would have been told to approach with caution, and obviously they would have found a GUN. But there was no GUN found. Us Weekly chose to blast the exact words used on the call. I paraphrase them, but we are essentially saying, "Oh,
so
sorry."
I'm going to come back up here and make. I see there's more articles.
Sorry. Okay, Us Weekly chose to blast the exact words on the call. I paraphrase them, but we are essentially saying the same info. Jace's mom is putting him through enough, and it didn't feel necessary to exploit things worse than they already are. So I paraphrase what was said. Hope that explains things. I think it is difficult when you run an outlet and you are covering a 16-year-old because everybody expects you to. I mean, there's some people that get mad and they're like, oh, he's a kid, leave him alone, like stop, give him his privacy. But then you have a million other people messaging you, commenting on your stuff like, are you going to cover what's going on with Jace? Are you going to cover what's going on with Jace? Are you going to cover? So you feel like this is what I would normally do. I normally cover these things. Things are changing, like back in the day, nobody blinked an eye if you covered what was going on with the kid on TV. Like nobody batted an eye. I was like, okay, like they're covering what's going on. But now things are changing, and people are like, no, leave them alone, let them have their privacy. And I get that. I do get that. My thing is like Janelle is putting stuff out, and Janelle is selling stuff to TMZ, and she's wanting to paint a narrative. So I think the best thing that we can do is if we are going to cover it, put it out there what we know. Like I get it. Jace is 16. We all agree that he has every right to be upset with his mom. We all agree that we could even understand like him flipping out and maybe even threatening himself. But other things were done. And if we're going to cover it, I feel like you do need to put it all out there, because if I sit here and I don't tell you guys everything I know, but I only give you guys a little bit and it does kind of change it, then you guys are going to have an opinion that's not based off all the facts. Like that was me. Like yesterday I had an opinion, or all the days leading up to this, I had an opinion that was not based off what really happened. It was based off a little bit about what happened. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's go to TMZ. I'm not shocked that TMZ posted the call, honestly. All right. I feel like if you're going to cover it, and you're going to say a few things that was said, you, as an outlet, you just have to put it all out there. You have to.
Remember what it felt like to be a little kid?
It's either don't cover it or cover it and put it all out there. Because if you're just putting a little bit of the information out there, then you guys are not gonna have all the. Do you guys get what I'm trying to say here? Like, and I'm not trying to pick on any outlet. I'm not trying to like attack any outlet. No, I haven't. I'm just saying, like, we got to make a decision. Like, okay, we put it out there. If we're going to talk about an incident where a 911 call was put out there, if we're going to say anything was said, hold on, guys.
Brunswick County Communications.
Hi, is this the police?
911.
Oh, well, I need somebody to come out to talk to me immediately. My grandson is on probation. He's destroying my house. He had a gun to his head. He said he was going to blow his brains out. And I'm up here. He's screaming at me. He's trying to hurt me.
What's your address?
I want one of the officers to come out and talk to me.
Okay. All right. We're going to get somebody out there to you. What kind of vehicle are you in?
I'm in my very well.
And what's your grandson's name? Okay. All right. We're going to get somebody out there to you. Okay.
All right. They're gonna come outside. I don't want them to show up my house. He'll destroy the rest of my house.
All right. I'll let them know. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was the 911 call. I'm not shocked that TMZ put it out. Ashley, I have your Janelle's sister Ashley's in the chat, and I have your videos from your TikTok. And I don't know, like I watched your videos last night. And now I want to play 2 of them. Information was redacted. She did, like, it redacts Jace's name, it redacts her address. But she called now. I don't know if maybe Barbara, I don't, because I saw Us Weekly and the Ashley both saying like they heard the 911 call. So I'm like, I was even like, okay, maybe she called a non-emergency number. Maybe she called a non-emergency number. But she clearly called 911. And maybe Barbara is like, just doesn't want people to know that she called. I don't know. We'll listen to it one more time. I'm not going to make it big because TMZ is bad about copyrighting you, but we'll listen to it one more time. Ashley, you're in here now. That way you can hear it as well.
Remember?
Oh, I'll read the article really quickly. Janelle Evans' mom, Barbara Evans, made a frantic 911 call during a disturbing incident involving her grandson, Jace. Telling dispatchers he had a GUN to his head and was threatening to unalive himself. In the call obtained by TMZ. Sorry, it's frozen. My computer's frozen. Why is it frozen? Let me go back. Hold on. Yeah, do a full story, follow up to make things clear, or don't cover it at all. Right, because like this is what we do. Like we're trying to put the information out to y'all as much as we have, and if we know we're withholding like a lot of the information, like it's going to give you guys an opinion that maybe if you had the full information, you would have a different opinion. All right. It says 911. I don't know. Yeah, and I get that. I mean, I couldn't imagine if this was my family and my nephew, like it sucks. That's why at least I'm like, I cover reality TV news. I've covered Janelle, like I've covered the stuff with Jace, but I do try to do it from a standpoint of like being an advocate for Jace. Like I do try to do it that way. All right. Janelle's going to sell everything going on in their life. All right. All right, here we go, guys.
Brunswick County Communications.
Okay, it said Brunswick County Communications is what it said. Brunswick County Communications.
Hi, is this the police?
911.
Oh, well, I need somebody to come out to talk to me immediately. My grandson is on probation. He's destroying my house. He had a gun to his head. He said he was going to blow his brains out. And I'm up here. He's screaming at me. He's threatening to hurt me.
What's your address?
Well, I want one of the officers to come out and talk to me.
Okay. All right. We're going to get somebody out there to you. What kind of vehicle are you in?
I'm in my very well.
And what's your grandson's name? Okay. All right. We're going to get somebody out there to you. Okay.
All right, they're gonna come outside. I don't want them to show up my house. He'll destroy the rest of my house.
All right. I'll let them know. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
I wouldn't even that's a very difficult spot to be in, you guys. Very, very difficult. I think there's no denying that Barbara loves Jace immensely. Like, she loves him very much. And I know ODD, like, I've dealt with ODD. And there's one thing, when you have a child with ODD, they don't know how to regulate their emotions. Like, once they get mad, they really don't know how to regulate. So they will lash out, and they lash out at the people that they love more than anybody. Like, that's usually who it's to. And then, like, when you're someone dealing with it with that child, like, oh God, here we go. But like, when they calm down and a day or two later, they're going to feel terrible. It's not who they are. It's not who they want to be. Like, it's not how they want to behave, right? Yeah, she hated to do that. Like, but I'm sure she felt like she was in the moment when they're having like an emotional breakdown like that, and they're acting out like that. There's nothing you can do. It's so hard to navigate. Like, it really is. It really is hard to navigate. Like, you can't say anything to calm them down. Nothing you could do is going to make it better in the moment. It just takes them, like, doing whatever it is for a while. And then within a day or two, they're fine. And then they feel bad. And then they're like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I'm sorry. But then the next time something hits them really difficult, they can't regulate their emotions. And rather than going to even sadness, sometimes it just is straight to anger a lot of times. It says Janelle Evans' mom, Barbara Evans, made a frantic 911 call during a disturbing incident involving her grandson, Jace, telling dispatchers he had a pew-pew to his head and was threatening to unalive himself. Yeah, you could tell she didn't want to do that. Barbara then describes the terrifying moment that prompted the call, saying Jace had a pew-pew to his head and told her he was going to his brains out. Since then, she's then heard breaking down in tears, saying Jace is screaming at her and trying to harm her or threatening to harm her. Once the dispatcher assures her that officers are on the way, Barbara asks for cops not to show up at her house because she's worried Jace will destroy the rest of it. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, and that is the case. Like, that's the thing, is like, we only know. That's why I think it is important to, like, for somebody to try to advocate. ODD is very difficult to understand, and I think it's okay. Like, this story is going to be put out there by Janelle or whoever's selling it, right? Whoever's selling it to TMZ and whoever's putting it out there, it's going to be put out, right? So I think it is important to try to combat that, but we can't combat it by lying or saying like, oh, this didn't happen or that didn't happen. Like, okay, people that don't understand ODD, they might look at Jace and be like, oh my God, look at him. He did threaten Barb. He did do this. He did do that, and maybe want to write him off as just being the issue. But he was doing good. Jace was doing good. And if you don't understand ODD, it is very difficult to deal with. And there was no pew-pew found. And I'm going to play Am I freezing for you guys? I'm going to play because Ashley put up 2 videos last night where she talked about it, and I'm going to play that. But Jace had been doing good from what everybody has been saying. Like, he was working, he was doing school, he was doing fine. And then, you know, he found out that his mom was back with David. And that would make anybody upset. That would make anybody feel betrayed. And then to see her posting about it, to see her, you know, like kind of putting it in everybody's faces. And right. So you have Jace, who is literally seeing this stuff online. And then it comes to a boiling point on obviously February 22nd. And obviously he lost it. It doesn't make him like a horrible kid. Does he obviously have his struggles and his issues? Yeah. And maybe he's where he needs to be for the time being until he can get like on whatever medication he may need to be on. Barbara is visiting him. Like, Barbara has seen him. They're both like, he's doing okay. Barbara's doing okay. She is going to see him. And he doesn't want to see Janelle. I'm going to play because Ashley, like I said, she's on TikTok as Monroe a Misfit. And I'm going to play 2 of her videos from last night where she talked about this.
I've seen there's more articles.
Is the audio okay? I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. It sounds high on my end.
About, you know, the situation that happened. Let me make it very clear. There has been no gun at my mother's house. Okay. My mother told me that she did not call 911. I don't know how many times I have to explain this, and it's not fair to Jace. And, you know,
maybe she did call a non-emergency number. I'm not sure. I don't know.
My mom or, you know, whatever has to, you know, listen to the same narrative over and over again. And I know where this is headed. People are just going to assume this is true from information they got from other people. Now, there's no 911 audio that I looked up online or being released. There's no narrative or anything like that. And let me explain something to you. The magistrate's office, when my mother went to go get my nephew the help that he needed, it was not Janelle. Janelle did not send my nephew Jace to a mental health facility, okay? She was nowhere to be found. My mother was given guardianship of my nephew through my nephew's Jace's probation. And like,
from my experience, the way that it seems now too, especially after hearing the 911 call, just being honest with you guys, from my experience, okay, a call was made to the police. If it was straight to 911, clerk of court, non-emergency, whatever, the police came out. When the police come out and you say they're threatening to harm themselves, you want to know what the police are going to do? They're usually going to take you to the hospital. And a doctor is going to PEC you. They're going to say, well, you need to go to you're threatening yourself. You are damaging your grandmother's house. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you need to, and they're going to, because he threatened to harm himself and because of what was happening, it seems the doctor placed him in the mental health facility. And that can't happen. I mean, considering he's 16, I'm sure they would have had to let Janelle know, unless Barbara has some sort of custody, which Janelle says she has full custody. So I don't know what the heck's going on here. But it seems because the 911 call was made, or a call was made, and Barb, let them know like he was making threats, the police felt he needed to go to the hospital, and a doctor there said, we're going to have to put you in a mental health facility. Yeah, when they answered, when she said something communications, and Janelle and Barbara was like, who is this? This is the cops. And she was like, 911.
Like I said in my previous video, if Jace had a gun on him, or if it was found, he would have been charged with a serious felony, and it would have been public because he most likely would have been charged as an adult in the state of North Carolina. My mother said that she mistaken Jace for holding something to his head. She did not have her glasses on. And there's an item that got broken, and this was just built up tension for the longest time because my sister has not been doing the right thing and helping Jace get the help that he needs and just starting all kinds of drama. We're not going to even go through that. I've already said what I have to say, and it's not his fault. He's trying the best that he can, and it's hard. Both of my boys, my eldest son Gabriel, he does have ADHD and attentive disorder with ODD. So I know the challenging behaviors and I know how hard it could be. My younger son Atlas has he has ADHD with hyperactive, and he is on the spectrum at some point. He was diagnosed with that when he was younger. And both of my boys are very well behaved, and they have their ups and downs. It is not easy dealing with two children that have ADHD or two different types of ADHD, ODD. And I just wanted to make that very clear. And because, my nephew has been placed to place, especially, at my mom's and my sister's and all this stuff. And in my own eyes, before my mother signed over custody, she should have just went to court and restricted Janelle, my sister, of all visitation because of everything that has went on. And I know that was a very hard decision for my mom to do because that was, my mother's other child, her daughter. She wanted Janelle to have a relationship with her son. She did the best that she could. And now that Jace is older, it's a lot different. It's not like he's a small child. But I'm just really sick and tired of people also blaming my mom. My mom is not perfect, but a lot of people do not understand.
I want to read this comment real quick, Winnie, because I do want to talk about that. It's not his fault necessarily, and my heart breaks for Jace, but he should be held responsible for his actions. He will turn out like Janelle if he isn't. He's about to be 18 and face real consequences. That is the most difficult thing when you're dealing with a child with mental health disorders, ODD, ADHD, things like that. When because, as a parent, you're terrified for that because you're like, oh my God, if we can't get this under control, if we can't get them on the correct medication or whatever it is that they need so they can regulate their emotions better when things are not working out for them, you're terrified of that. You're like, you know what I'm saying? You're scared, oh my God, because we can all understand why Jace got so upset. We can all understand it. His mom literally just betrayed him again. She abandoned him and then she betrayed him again. We all understand why he got so upset. But destroying Barbara's house, that is the thing. Had he been 18 years old, absolutely, he could go to jail for it. Not a mental health facility, but jail. And then there he will be at 18 years old and have something on his record. So I really hope, I really, really hope that, and I think Barbara will advocate for him as much as she possibly can to get his mental health under control. I think she had him in therapy before. She had him on medication before. And then he moved in with Janelle. And then Janelle took him off his medication and stopped, therapy stopped. And she started letting him smoke marijuana. And you know what I'm saying? So it sucks because him living with Janelle for that little bit, I really think it really affected his mental health in a negative way when he at least seemed to be doing a lot better when he was with Barbara, when he lived with her up until he was almost 15 years old. I know Barbara had issues. I know he was difficult to deal with at times, but at least she was trying to attend to his mental health and keep him on the correct medication and all things like that. So he will be 18. Jace will turn 17 this year, and then next year he'll be 18. And unfortunately, God forbid, if something happens, we don't want to see him going to jail. None of us want that. We've seen him be born on TV. We've seen, unfortunately, what he's had to go through with his mom. So we do not want to see him go to jail. I'll read your comments real quick. I see some of your comments popping up, so let me read them. I'm not erratic in any of my statements that I make, but like I said before, nobody knows what goes on in my family behind the scenes. If there's 911 call, when I have to look into that. Like I said before, my mother said she did not call 911, so don't come up here and call my mother a liar. I've said this before. She did not call one. There's a difference. It was a call transfer from a non-emergency number to 911. I don't know, but my mother did not call 911. Geez, people, I'm really getting tired. And listen, I understand. I'm just saying, like, Us Weekly, she was obviously transferred. Like, whatever number she called, maybe it was like a non-emergency number, but I guess they transferred her to 911 call to 911 because that's what all of them are saying. Like that they put a 911 call. So I guess maybe she was transferred to it. No one knows what goes on between my family in North Carolina, but me and my mother and the rest of the family. That's it. It doesn't matter. Just when people will stop making stories about Jace. Yeah, I get that. Um, yeah. Doesn't matter. I gotta go to class. I just wish people would stop making these stories about my family, blaming my mom, making Jace look bad. My sister is a problem. I know. I definitely agree with that. I feel like Barbara has done the best that she can do. She stepped up, and we're gonna hear in your video you talked about that because I know Barbara gets some hate from some people saying like, oh, she yells and screams at Janelle, at Jace, whatever, at Janelle. This woman is like in her 60s, whatever, early 60s, late 50s, dealing with her daughter who is in and out with boys and rugs and getting pregnant, and then she's left to take care of the kid. I mean, God, listen, I got a lot of patience. I have 6 kids, and one thing that I've always gotten praise about is the patience that I have with those 6 kids. But if I was in my late 50s, early 60s, and my 16-year-old daughter got pregnant, and I found out her baby daddy was way older than I knew, they lied to me about his age, and then she didn't stay at home and raise her baby. And I had to work at Walmart and pay for his daycare and, be up all hours of the night while his mama was in and out and stealing my debit card and, on a show, getting paid to be on the show, but blowing all her money on men and rugs. I would be furious too. I don't know that I would not yell at this girl. So I think a lot of people are like, they want to talk about how Barb yelled and screamed. And like, can we remember what she went through? What Barbara was dealing with literally as an older woman? As an older woman, she was dealing with her daughter who refused to be a parent and was in and out, coming in all hours of the night, sometimes not showing up. You guys remember the times that like, there was like, Barbara was like, I got to work in the morning. Are you going to be home to keep him? Like, are you going to be home to watch Jace? And she's like, yeah, I'll come. Well, then she didn't show up, and Barbara had to get Jace ready and take him to daycare that Barbara was paying for. While Janelle was blowing her money on rugs and keeper and all of that. So people can say Barb yelled or whatever, but my God, I would have, golly. If that would have been my mama, she would have put me out of the house all right with her fist or her foot. You know what I'm saying? I would have come up in that door after not showing up to watch my mama, and my mama probably would have foot to the forehead right on out. So I don't blame Barbara. I think Barbara did the best that she could.
Understand the whole dynamic of that stuff. So going back and forth between Janelle and David's house and all that stuff, and also my kids had to witness the toxic stuff that Janelle did over at David's house. And I actually had to stop Atlas and Gabriel from going over there so many times because it was just a nightmare. There's a lot of things that people don't know. So I just wanted to point that out. But yeah, there was no gun in my mom's house. The police also searched my mom's property. I'm tired of people saying that. There was no gun found at my mom's house. And
I get what you're saying, Winnie. That's fair. And Barb had a lot of stress, but I feel somewhat hypocritical saying yelling had no effect on Leah. Shirley has stated her mother's yelling had an effect on her. So I'm not saying it doesn't affect them. I grew up with a mom that yelled. So I definitely think that it does. I mean, I grew up with a mom that yelled. So now I am anti-yelling. I am like when my husband goes to get loud, like he knows that's a trigger for me because I grew up with a mom that yelled. So I do not like it. I don't like to subject my kids to yelling. So if anybody could understand like that yelling can affect kids, it is me. But I think no parent is perfect. No parent is perfect. We're all going to have our faults. So, yes, she yelled and screamed. But one thing that I look at when I'm trying to gauge if somebody was a good parent is how they actually tried to tend to their kids or their grandkids. Did they let their kids sit around and do drugs and have boyfriends come stay the night with them? And like Barbara didn't let Janelle get pregnant. Barbara always tried to encourage Janelle, go back to school, stay home with your baby, take care of your kid. You know what I'm saying? So when I gauge, if you're a good parent, it's by like, yes, she yelled because Amber didn't even try to be a parent either. Amber stayed in bed all day while Leah was in her crib, and Gary would come home from work and Leah hadn't been changed. And then she would yell, like, oh my God, get her, so yes, yelling can have an effect. But that's like the one thing that Barbara did was yelling. She yelled. Yes, she yelled. So I get what you're saying. I think we can say that Barbara yelled and that it probably caused trauma, but there's a lot more trauma for Jace in regards to what Janelle did versus what Barb did. And Barb was older and she's not going to be perfect. No parent is. And I think that's probably the one thing that we can say about Barbara. She yelled. Somebody actually, I did a TikTok video where somebody was like, oh, Barbara only wants custody of Jace for the money. And I did a TikTok video, like reacted to it. And I was like, what? And somebody clipped it and like stitched it and said that I was somebody tagged me in it, that I was supporting child abusers. Somebody said that Barbara was a child abuser. And I'm like, I ain't never seen Barbara like beat on nobody. I mean, if she was going to beat on somebody, when Janelle stole her credit card, you know what I'm saying? Like she would have did it then, like because she yelled. I'm sorry, but I grew up in old school where like, do you guys not remember like back in the day, like yelling is just what it was. Like, not that it's okay and not that it means that it's that oh, we act like it's okay. Yes, she yelled. She yelled. Yes, she did. Did she yell at Jace? Or was she yelling at her 16, 17-year-old child that refused to be a mom to this kid? Did she yell in front of Jace? Yes, she did. Not saying it's perfect, but for whoever made that video to be like, oh, I'm supporting a child abuser, like what? Okay, if you think Barbara's a child abuser, then okay. But we have a very different opinion of what a child abuser is. Yeah, if you grew up in the 80s and yeah. All right, let's continue. Listen to Ashley.
Just tell you something. So the local police department that was involved with, certain things that happened, they are not going to release that information out. I already spoke to the chief of police. Local law enforcement through different agencies in different towns have their own set of rules. The county that they live in is a whole different story. I've already said this before. I already spoke to the magistrate. I've already spoken to the 911 operator, and the person who gave this information out, like I said in my previous video, was extremely specific with dates and times. The person that released this things with OK Magazine recently, earlier today, this evening, they were, just releasing certain information based on certain information that was, fed out into the past. This was more of like a medical call. The magistrates does not have anything to do with like, any of that. And if there was, the medical treatment that my mother was seeking for my nephew Jace at the time, they're not going to release that information. Also, if somebody wanted to release the information through a Freedom of Information Act or anything, it's being heavily redacted. Incidents, times, dates, all that stuff. It's heavily redacted. So it could have been anybody at my mom's house. So unless my nephew Jace's name is in there or anything and they say that he had a gun, then he had a gun. My nephew Jace did not have a gun. There was no gun found at my mom's house. So I'm just sick and tired of people saying that and spinning that around. And the Freedom of Information Act, the only person who can obtain stuff about a minor in the Freedom of Information Act is a person who has custody of that child. The same thing with 911 dispatch calls. Nobody can get those calls if it was a medical related call, like a voluntary commitment with the magistrates, a, transport to a hospital, only the person who has custody or is the actual person.
Maybe that's what Barbara thought she was doing. Like maybe Barbara was calling like a non-emergency line, thinking like, okay, Jace is over here. Like I'm going to have him committed because I can't, he's threatening himself. So maybe she called another number, but they patched her through to 911. But that's what she was trying to do. But, they sent the cops and they patched her through to 911. That's what I'm thinking.
Or his guardianship or power of attorney over that person can get those medical calls or transcripts. Also, the Brunswick County 911 dispatch office does not do transcripts. You would have to hire an outside transcriptor. And like I said before on my last video, with the local police department and stuff, getting that information in the reports, there's a difference between a C&E report and an incident report. They most likely, whoever got this, if anything, they probably got an incident report like I do. It's heavily redacted. There's no street names. There's none of that. It just says the place where my mom, like the street that she lives on, it doesn't have her name or nothing. It's that heavily redacted. So again, even with a FOIA Information Act, you have to have custody or guardianship or some kind of POA over that person. They can't just give a random minor's information out. And it's heavily redacted, like no details, no times, no none of that stuff. So I just wanted to make that clear. So the person who's selling this stuff out is very close to, my, nephew Jace and my mom. It's most likely.
Okay, so I think what Ashley is saying here is because there's a minor involved, that these outlets would not have been able to get the 911 call, that you would have to be a relative, like a parent, to get it. And so it seems like, and I don't know this. Listen, I've gotten FOIAs before. I'm trying to think if I've ever gotten a response to a FOIA that involved a minor. I can't recall, but I've gotten plenty of FOIAs. I've sent in FOIAs for information, and I've gotten it back, but I don't think I've ever gotten anything in regards to a minor. But if that is the case, I know in regards to like if there's adults, you can pretty much you can sit like yesterday. Okay, just for instance, yesterday, Ryan Edwards' wife Amanda Connor had court. I knew she had court. Okay, so yesterday around 11:30, I called and I was like, "Hey, what's the outcome of this case number in court today?" And they told me, "Oh, blah 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 blah." I'm like, "Is it updated on the site?" And they're like, "Yes, it is." I go to the site. I screen grab it because I'm covering that situation. You know what I'm saying? Now, unfortunately, she left out the part where Amanda got probation and where probation was added like later on that evening. But anyways, usually you can call and get information and they'll give you information. Like a lot of information is public, but when it comes to a minor, I'm sure it is different. So if what she is saying is accurate, and I could believe that to be accurate because Barbara was calling regarding a 16-year-old, that the 911 calls may not be public. I don't know this for sure, but I could see how that could be a possibility. I could see how everything's public unless it's regarding a minor. So if that's the case, then she is saying, and then, a parent would have had to get that and then sell it to these outlets, which I have a very hard time believing that the Ashley's Reality Roundup would get anything from Janelle. Like Janelle would have to be the one to get it because she has custody of Jace. And I don't think the Ashley would work with Janelle. Now I could see Us Weekly getting it from Janelle. I could see TMZ getting it from Janelle, but not the Ashley. And I don't know. I don't see that.
My sister Janelle, unfortunately, that's selling the story out, or a crappy ass friend of hers. But I just wanted to point that out because I know where this is headed. There's going to be more speculations. And so far, I've not seen a release of a 911 call at all. Like I said before, my mom did not call 911. She went to law enforcement to seek help and get my nephew the help that he needed. He was making certain statements to my mom prior to that. They had like a little argument. There's a lot of stuff going on. Jace was very upset. not by something that my mom did. You know, it was built up over time from what Janelle was doing and the stuff that he's seen in the internet and the stuff that he was hearing. And just the whole case with David. And there's a lot of other stuff that I'm not going to discuss. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. My mom has got it. She's got it handled. And Andrew, Jace's dad, has got it handled. And that's all that anybody needs to know. And I'm hoping that everything turns out well for Jace. I know it will. My door's open if he wants to come live here, you know, when he's, you know, able, or even when he's 18. My door's open, you know, so it's always been open for him. He's like another son to me. You know, I've helped a part of raise him too with my mom. Nobody knows that either. But all right, I just thought I'd hope up that there was no gun involved at my mother's house, and other people do not understand how the law and how certain legal paperwork works. So yeah, there was no gun in my mom's house. That's for clarification.
Okay, so I just looked this up. Okay, one thing, I think the 911 call could have been got through for you, and I'll tell you guys why. Because Jace's name was redacted, but his age was never said, and nothing too detailing. She did not say his last name. They redacted his name. So, okay, I was reading this, and I could be wrong, but okay, you can submit a Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA, but whether you actually get a 911 call involving a 16-year-old depends on a few key factors. And in many cases, the answers is no or only partially. Here's how it works. It's not always federal FOIA. 911 calls are handled by local agencies, city, county, not federal. So you actually be filing a state public record request in whatever state you're trying to get one. Juvenile privacy protections are strong because a person is 16, a minor. The calls are often withheld or heavily redacted, which his was. His name was redacted. The address was redacted. Agencies are very strict about protecting minors, especially if it involves abuse, DV, or medical issues, or if there's an ongoing investigation, or the minor is a victim. You might get limited access. In some cases, you can receive a redacted audio file, a written transcript with identifying info redacted, or just a call log summary, date, time, nature of the call. Balancing test, public interest versus privacy. Officials weigh public's right to know versus the minor's right to privacy. If the situation is high profile or already public, you might have a better shot, but it's still not guaranteed. So yeah, you can request it before a 16-year-old. Expect denial or it being heavily redacted, especially if the minor can be identified. So I think it's possible that they would have sent it since it was redacted. That's just my opinion. All right, so that was one of Ashley's videos from last night. Now here's another one.
Come back up here and make another video real quick. One of the biggest things that, you know, a lot of people have been trying to message me about is Jace's father, Andrew. Now, Andrew has directly asked me not to speak about details, and I'm not going to, but I will say that I'm very proud, and I encouraged him to kind of like, you know, step up more for Jace, because my sister's not able to do that, or she just refuses to be a parent at this point. The situation with emergency custody, I feel that it is concerning, even though that I offered to come and do witness testimony against my sister. I think my mom is worried that if I do testify against my sister Janelle, that my sister Janelle is going to go after me. My mom doesn't want that for me, or Janelle might go after me and my two boys, Atlas and Gabriel, because she's that evil. She's evil. And she's got a lot of problems. She's got serious substance and mental health disorder that she's not addressing for many years. And it's just a repeated pattern. I mentioned before that she's always been like in a manic state. She's not on medication and she's very unstable. And it's really hard to like make statements on here or let anybody know like, how is Jace? Jace is doing fine. He's where he needs to be right now. There's some disturbing things that my mom told me that is happening, but my mom and Andrew have got it situated. I would love to testify on Jace's behalf for my mom, but like I said before, Janelle's going to go after me. or just some drama. I do feel that it's my mom and Andrew's fight right now. I cannot get involved. I have my own 2 boys to take care of. I know Gabriel was going to go and speak up about his aunt Janelle, and Atlas was as well. But I kind of had to sit back, and Janelle would not go after Gabriel. She would not go after Atlas because there's no way she can. But she would try to do something vindictive. It's all about control. But I will say that it is not unusual for a court in North Carolina to deny emergency custody. I had to go through this with one of my divorces with one of my kids. I'm not saying which one. And that was really difficult. And that was really hard to deal with. It's not easy to obtain emergency custody in North Carolina. And like I told my mom last week when this whole situation transpired, basically, you know, the judge needed more information. The judge needed more, like, evidence, you know. So that was one thing, and Jace is in a mental health facility, so, you know, that was another reason, like, why the judge denied it, and I don't think people understand that. There is legalities between probation, granting my mother guardianship of Jace to live with her during the remainder of his probation in North Carolina. My mom signed over custody to my sister without a court intervening about 2 years ago. Janelle did not fight for that. My mom just could not deal with his problematic behaviors. However, I, you know, tried to explain to my mom, I said, this is going to be a huge mistake for you if you do this. I would not trust Janelle. She's playing you, and that's what she did. She played my mom. She basically played her and manipulated my mom. My mom thought she was doing great, and she was not. She was just playing games behind the scenes, and things just erupted where Jace got put in CPS custody. He got sent to the mental health facility where I worked at. Janelle tried to have me fired at the hospital where I worked at. My coworkers were very concerned, this before I was laid off. But, you know, that situation just erupted, and I couldn't even go to work. I lost income because of Janelle. Just a bunch of stuff that happened, and a lot of it is not known to the immediate public. Jace has been trying so hard to get away from Janelle. She has nobody that's against her. Nobody's evil in her family. We all tried to help her and be there for her, but Janelle refuses to be a mom, and she refuses to step up. I know others have been questioning Andrew. Look, Andrew has a great family. Jace has his other side of the family from his dad. They're all there supporting him and want to try to be there for him. It's Janelle that's making that extremely difficult. Like, she's so bitter. She can't just say, okay, well, go live with your dad for a little while and figure out what you want to do. You're almost 18. Or, you know, go live with Meme, you know, blah, blah, blah. Let's get back in your meds and figure out a plan. She doesn't want to do that. And unfortunately, you know, with people that have mental illness, they're unstable, they're not thinking correctly, they're not making the right choices, and she just reconciled with David. That was a very poor judgment call. When my mom told me this and I seen it, I was just really concerned, not only about my mom, but Jace. For example, you know, Jace's behaviors and just the stuff that he's been through. But I just want to let you guys know, like, before Janelle lost custody of Jace years ago, I remember I was working one weekend and Gabriel and Atlas wanted to talk about this. Well, my mom was babysitting Gabriel and Atlas for a weekend before my mom was granted custody. Now, Gabriel is 2 years younger than Jace, just so you guys know. He's very close in age. It was Gabriel, Atlas, and Jace. They were hiding in my mother's bedroom while freaking David and Janelle decided to tear up the front of my mother's house, try to break in and say that my mother's drunk in the house, and just all this really bizarre stuff. And my mom was terrified of Janelle and David. And this is right before Janelle lost custody permanently the first time. And then years later, Jace developed issues with his ADHD. My mom did the best that she could. And
I do want to I think Ashley is getting her timeline messed up here. If you guys have followed the story as much as I have, you would have caught that. So she said that before Barb got custody of Jace, that Jace, Atlas, and Gabriel was at Barb's house, and David and Janelle showed up and was like damaging the front of her house, which I don't doubt that they probably did that. I'm sure that's probably possible. But Barb got custody of Jace when he was a baby, and it was years before David came into the mix. So I think it probably was after Barb already had custody of Jace. It would have had to be. Barbara got custody of Jace when he was a baby. So if anything, if David was at Barbara's house with Janelle, Barb already had custody. I just want to clarify that because any of you guys that have followed the story as well as I have, that might have thrown you for a loop. You might would have been like, "Whoa, what? That no, that don't make any sense." I think Ashley's just getting that confused that her mom already had custody of Jace when that happened.
A lot of people don't understand. Like, my mom was in her 50s and 60s when, my mom was given, custody of Jace, or my sister signed it over. She was not tricked. Janelle needed to sign over custody, or Jace would have been in foster care. Or when Andrew and his family or whatever. But the whole situation is like, she was working. She was dealing with my sister, who was extremely disrespectful, coming in and out of the house, partying, high, drunk, not respecting my mother's rules in her house, just coming and going as she pleases, and didn't even want to take care of her. What was my mom supposed to do? Of course she was upset and she yelled and screamed. I don't think people...
I can tell you I have 6 kids, and ain't none of my kids gonna have a baby at 16 years old and then proceed to party and leave that baby on me. I will get custody of that kid, and my child can go be a drunkard somewhere else. That's not going to be what it is. No, Bar was in a tough position. Janelle had a baby. She kicked her out many a times, but think of yourself. Like, you have a kid that gets pregnant at 16, has a baby, you're working at Walmart, and then the mother, your daughter, the mother of this child, is going out almost every other night, getting drunk, coming in all hours of the night if she even shows up. I would have kicked her out too.
People realize that. My mom is in her 70s now. And I was already moved out, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I ever did that in my mom's house, yeah, my mom would have threw me out too. Who does that? And I think a lot of the people see this stuff that's going on, a lot of the younger generation, I'm almost 40, and a lot of the younger generation is very disrespectful, very entitled, and just think they can get away with things. And I don't think a lot of people these days know what respect is. So I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts on that. And yeah, my 2 boys don't want to get dragged into this. Atlas and Gabriel have told me they don't want to hear it. Gabriel is getting really upset about it. This has deeply affected him as well. And even when my mom had her stroke and my late father passed away, Janelle has just been starting trouble after trouble. My other siblings are very upset with her. She's been non-compliant. I have other siblings, older siblings. I'm the middle child, by the way. Nobody knows that. And that needs to be kept private. And just her lying about my late father, just certain things about that. The rest of my extended family has just been fed up with her and just her behavior. And, just and then my mom had her stroke, and she started that stuff, smoking and doing drugs in my mom's house when she had her stroke. There's been a lot that's been going on for the last year and a half besides just my sister and the Jace situation. I don't speak about it because I'm focused on taking care of my 2 boys and co-parent with my ex-husband and working and taking care of my 2 boys and providing them a better life. And I've been there enough for my mom and stuff. And I'm very happy that Andrew did move closer to Jace. And he's been trying as hard as he can. He has paid child support and got medical insurance for him. Janelle has refused to even get medical insurance or the help that he needs. She's demanding that Andrew or my mom pay for Jace's medical treatment, which is ridiculous. She's the parent. She apparently has custody or whatever. And there's just so many legalities going on that she doesn't even want to step up and be a mom. Jace is going to be 18 soon, so I'm hoping everybody can give us some privacy. And, that's just kind of what I have to say about it.
Okay, so, honestly, yeah, Andrew is involved now, and that was something that, they didn't want. Janelle is very vindictive, okay? And had Janelle known that Andrew was involved, I think they were scared that she would, because she still has custody of Jace. So they were concerned that if she found out that she would try to make Jace move back in with her, or there would be a situation. But from my understanding, he's been involved since. So when Jace moved back in with Barbara, like 8-9 months ago, Andrew moved to North Carolina to try to work on a relationship with him. And from my understanding, he has stepped up a little bit. Like he is trying to be there for him. He is helping financially. So, but now it seems like we know a little bit more information. We can clarify. Jace was doing good. Jace started seeing online that his mom was back with David. Jace started having issues with that. Jace was lashing out. On February 22nd, it came to a head and he lost it. And he was, damaging things at Barbara's house. He threatened himself. Whether or not he put a pew-pew to his head, that I don't know. Barbara said that he did in that call. She later told Ashley that she didn't have her glasses on, that she thought maybe that's what it was, but no pew-pew was found. She called some number and apparently was patched through to 911 where they sent the cops. The cops, then, due to the fact that he did threaten himself, they took him to the hospital where he was sent to a mental health facility. And it does sound like the fact that Barbara was calling, I think that's maybe what Barbara was trying to do is, okay, he's threatening himself. He just found out his mom's back with David and now he is spiraling. Like we need to get him some help for a while. We need to get him back into a facility, maybe get him on some new meds, different meds, whatever, get him stable. And then, maybe he can come back home or whatever. But right now he's in the facility. Barbara is attending to him financially, being there for him. Andrew is as well. I know in Louisiana, like a doctor can PEC you for up to 15 days. And it's been 18. Let's see. It's been 23 days. It's been 23 days. Because I think he went on the 22nd, right? So I know in Louisiana, you can do, doctors will do like a 72-hour hold. Sometimes they will do a 15-day hold, but at that 15-day mark for you, like if you're still not well, they will send you back to the hospital and the doctor will do another PEC for you and then send you back and you can stay up to another 15 days. So I'm really not, Janelle wanted custody because she felt entitled to have it and not because it was in Jace's best interest. Yet now she has custody and refusing to pay for health issues. Right. Exactly. Yeah. But like somebody said a while ago, I mean, I do worry about him. I worry. Oh, Bree says here they don't count Saturdays or Sundays. They do here. In Louisiana, they do. That's interesting, though. And they can go to court to have it extended. Jace is 16. He'll be 17 in August, I think. My heart breaks for Kaiser and Inslee if these two fools are back together, especially Kaiser, because we all know David has what? Yep. Dumb question. No dumb question. Can Jace sue Janelle and or David for emotional distress abuse? I don't know. That's not a dumb question because I don't know, and I would love to know that as well. Why is she saying he'll be 18 soon? I guess because he's 16 and a half. I'm not sure. But this August, he will be 17. So it's a year and a half. I'm sure she knows how old he is, though. The courts need to do the right thing since they're seeing she's back with David, who has a record of violence towards women and children, including both of her sons. CPS definitely needs to step in. Now, Janelle and David are both back at the property in North Carolina. They both posted pictures there. So that's where they're at. Let me see. Sorry, hold on. Did Jace ever get his driver's license? I don't know, honestly. I'm not sure. Whoa, oh yeah. Let me find it. Sorry. I thought I posted where they were both in North. Oh yeah, right here. So this was David posted this over the weekend, showing his octopus tattoo. You can see his workshop behind him. And then she put, ooh, it's muggy AF in North Carolina. That was the same day. And then she posted that. Good morning. This was a boomerang video that she posted on her IG. And when the video panned over to the left, you could see that she was at her trailer. What is that? Is that a double wide? Is it a triple wide? Is it a modular home? I'm not sure. I don't know. So her and David are, and she made a post yesterday saying that she was consider selling the house. Right here. She said, perfect sunset, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, upstairs unfinished, pool, shop, and she shed on many acres. She's on many acres. Do you not know how many acres you have? Might put my house up for sale soon. Any takers? Going to spend the next year fixing it up to sell. And up here is where the ceiling is cracked and there's like mold in the house. Oh, maybe so. Maybe so. And then there's a picture of the, is it a modular home? She's probably talking about when David and Janelle lost custody of all the kids. Barbara had Jace and Ansley. Did David not strangle Marissa's mother? I think he did. Isn't it sinking? I know it was. Is it only 2? Well, my thing is like she had to give some of it to David in their divorce. I guess he's going to sell 2 now that they're back together. Anyways, you guys, that's the latest. I felt like, Elle, don't you think Janelle could go to jail for child neglect? I would think so. My God, I don't know. Like, what does it take in North Carolina for CPS to say you have neglected your children? I don't know. But I felt like when I saw all this yesterday happening, I was like, okay, first off, I've put up so many videos with, oh, this is what's happening. Oh, this is what's happening based off, people that I'm talking to, based off what Janelle's sister was putting out, based off what the Ashley was putting out. So I'm putting out this narrative of what I think happened. And then bam, Us Weekly puts out an article about the 911 call. And I'm like, wait a minute now. That is not, that's a little different. But I do think if we're going to cover something for you guys, we need to give you guys the info, like not half of it, not the rest of it. Will you be watching Unexpected? I love Unexpected. I actually wanted to watch it with you guys yesterday, but I just didn't get out here in time. There was a lot going on, but I actually love Unexpected. I want to cover it and stuff. Who has Ainsley and Kaiser while they're out of state? Are they safe? Who knows? I think Elle should call CPS on David and Janelle. I think people have called CPS on David and Janelle. I've seen people say that they have. So, speaking of Marissa, why isn't she saying anything about this? I thought she hated Janelle. She does not like Janelle. She loves her dad, but she don't like Janelle. I would have to imagine Marissa is not happy about this. I did not go live Mama Juice first episode because there was a reason I couldn't. Like, my son had a jiu-jitsu tournament last Saturday and we had to get up at like 3 o'clock and leave. So I couldn't do it last Saturday. I can't do it this Friday either because I'll be leaving early Saturday morning to go out of town. But I will be going live on TikTok while I'm on my trip. Did Janelle get an insurance claim on all that mold in her house? I don't know. Anyways, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this one. What is it? It's 4 o'clock. I'm not done for the day though, so I might come back on here to cover more info, more whatever, or I might go live on TikTok. So make sure you follow me everywhere. She shouldn't have custody of her children. Be back with David. I agree. I'll keep you guys posted though. Anything that does come out, I'll let you guys know. But I felt like it was, I don't know. I just felt like we needed to get on here and I know, B, I know. I feel like we just need to get on here and put it all out. That way you guys would have all the information. If you're going to have an opinion on it and want to try to keep up with it, at least know everything that's going on. Anyways, like the video if you guys don't mind. Hit that thumbs up button. I think we have, let me see. We have like 105 likes. We have 370 people in here. Let's see if we can get those likes up, you guys. If you think about it, come back and hype your girl up. I would greatly appreciate it. Will you be on TikTok tonight? I will be on TikTok tonight. I don't know what for. Maybe we'll watch Unexpected. How about let's go live tonight at like 8 p.m. Central Time to watch Unexpected. So y'all go follow me over there. We'll watch the latest because I got a lot of thoughts on this past week's episode, a lot of thoughts, and I'm going to share my thoughts on that. Okay, so make sure you follow me over there, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.